Hey, here we are, SportsBit 2.0, Pauly and Teddy, betting insight today on SBRpicks.com, Thursday, March 29th. Happy opening day. It's here. We'll get to Kluber and King Felix tonight, the late game on ESPN. We got OKC taking on the Spurs, and we also have the NIT title game. We'll go rapid fire coming up. We'll turn on the shot clock as well with some win totals advice, or biggest underachiever, overachiever, and the play of the day before we get out of here. The NFL coming around. How about that? Well, you're talking to billions of dollars. We'll talk about the hypocrites in a second. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. As always, follow us on Twitter at RealSportsBet and at Teddy_Covers. They overreacted here to Kevin Love being out, and I think LeBron's only lost once in his life to Charlotte. Plus 1.5, went off a 2-point favorite, routed as the Cavs shot 71% in the second quarter, Teddy, and led by 20.
Yeah, I mean, there was thought that Charlotte was still trying to be alive in this playoff chase. There was thought that the absence of Kevin Love was going to kill Cleveland on the second of back-to-backs. The bottom line, LeBron's still there, 41, 10, and 8 last night. Two assists shy of a triple-double. Bettors got this one dead wrong. All the money came on Charlotte. Cleveland cashes all the tickets.
All right, there's a bad bet. This is a tough result. Knicks Sixers over 220.5 to 223.5. It was 67 to 63 at the half, and then I'm sure Brown lit into them about their defense, and they held the Knicks to 38 points in the second half. Embiid left early with an injury as well, and it falls short at 219.
Yeah, I mean, really a tough result, and we're going to call it a bad bet. Frankly, you can argue it's a bad beat. When you have $130 in the first half of an NBA game and it stays under, even 223.5, when you got $130 in the first half and then can't get 93.5 in the second, that's tough. Embiid got hurt and the Sixers played better defense without him. That's scary when you start thinking about what is going on with Philadelphia and their chance to come out of the Eastern Conference. I'm very, very high on the Sixers moving forward.
Bad bet. How about the Jazz? Look at this steam again. They finished a perfect road trip. I'm talking about the Celtics. But the Jazz went from 6.5 as high as 10.5. No Morris, no Horford. We knew Kyrie was out. Smart's out. They won the game. They were down late and closed, I think, with a 9-0 run, whatever it was. Brown was terrific. Perfect road trip for the Celtics as they beat the Jazz.
I mean, is it time to make a rule? We don't make a lot of rules on SportsBet. There are no rules when it comes to sports betting, and every rule has exceptions. That being said, I don't know that I want to step in front of Brad Stevens as an underdog. In any role, in any spot, in any situation, Boston continues to fight hard, play hard, and win games, shorthanded, not shorthanded. The reserves playing every bit as well as the starters. Even when the Celtics are missing key bodies, they're still winning games and covering point spreads. What did we see, a 4-point move on a TV game last night? The books got to keep all of that money. Bad bets on Utah.
Yep, and money line and teasers out of there as well. Although you don't tease basketball, but still some people insist on doing it. Bad for the books. Hawks T-Wolves over 217.5 up to 220, even without no Schroeder for Atlanta. 240. This was a shootout. Towns goes for 56 and 15, and the T-Wolves, if you laid 12, you still got to push. No Schroeder against a bad team off a horrible loss to Memphis, and Towns goes for 56, and you can't cash the ticket.
Yeah, and of course, this was really bad for the books. The over took steam, 217.5 up to 220. As you mentioned, landed 240. Never in doubt. All the over tickets cash. The game legitimately bounced 11.5, 12, 12.5 all day, depending on where you got it, what time, what book. If you shopped around, didn't matter which side you had, you cashed a ticket. If you didn't shop around, you're still supposed to push. Bottom line is Karl-Anthony Towns goes nuts. Minnesota still doesn't cover his chalk, but the books took a bath on this one, both side and total.
All right. Thanks to I Make It Rain Man handle on Twitter. I like that. Pretty good, Christopher. One we missed from Tuesday night. Well, it was exhibition baseball. But remember that Dodger game was called early because there was excrement on the field, a bad sewage pipe, and that cost them a total with the 7.5 because the game was called early.
Yeah, I know. And it's, we like to get all the bad beats. Sometimes we miss one. This is one from, exhibition baseball that I missed. But when you see a tweet like this and you're like, how many different ways are there to lose a bet? Well, he didn't lose. He ended up with a push. But Yeah, when the sewage pipe busts and it costs you a wager, yeah, that's unhandicapable. That's when you're running bad. Sorry, Christopher. I don't know how many people have the over in that preseason finale, but the bottom line is exhibition baseball offers bad beats too. And there was one from Tuesday that we missed.
All right, let's go after these freaking hypocrites, the NFL. Remember, gambling's bad, can't have it, right? Las Vegas is bad. Las Vegas is bad, but they're in bed with the daily fantasy and they play 3-4 games in London when you could bet in the stadium, but there's you could bet on every. William Hill's like 7-Eleven over there. You can bet everywhere. Then it's okay. Well, we'll put a team in Vegas, and now it's like, oh wait, betting could be legal now in the United States. Look, how about the 180 here from the NFL, Teddy?
This is all good. Okay, we can laugh at the NFL for their hypocrisy. There's always been hypocrisy. The bottom line is the stance of the league is legitimately shifting. The tweet, of course, on Sports Handle talking about Roger Goodell's stance. This is from an NFL.com story, and it was a huge quote. I didn't graphic it up. I'm going to read a little bit of it. This is the NFL stance on the potential Supreme Court ruling that could legalize sports gambling. This is Goodell's quote. Well, I don't have any insight into what the Supreme Court is going to do. We're not privy to that. I think what we did this week was make sure that people understood I would call it prospects and the potential for how gambling can change in part because of the Supreme Court decision, how it's evolved on its own beyond that. And this isn't new work. We've been focusing on this for several years. The number one thing which was endorsed repeatedly by our membership was the integrity of the game, though. We have to make sure that whatever environment we're working in, and some of that might be related to what the Supreme Court decides, some of it may be future legislation, we need to make sure we're operating in an environment where we can protect the integrity of the game. Read between the lines there. Roger Goodell is like, yeah, we're okay with it. We'll figure it out. As long as we're going to work, make sure that nobody's fixing anything, but we're into gambling. That's what it says between the lines there. And boy, that's a big difference to what the NFL was saying even 5 years ago, Pauly.
Yeah, well, Goodell works for the owner, so that bozo, what he says doesn't matter. It's all about the owners, and they know this is common sense. And speaking of common sense, I know our stats guy had a great line about the integrity fee. You can stick that the NBA wants that integrity fee from the books, even though Nevada's been a watchdog for over 40 years, and you got Memphis losing by 61 in a sport that had a crooked ref. Go pound sand. But how about this as far as the integrity fee? This is on Twitter. Nevada sports betting revenue numbers for February. The books lost $2.5 million on football. It would have been another $1.5 million if they had to pay the integrity fee tax.
Yeah, Dustin Cooker's a great follow on Twitter if you're interested in the legal aspect of a lot of the sports betting stuff. But the bottom line is books in Nevada lost in the NFL in football for February. They did not a good Super Bowl for the house. When that happens, and then they're supposed to be paying on, and guess what? We took all the risk, and you guys should take a 1% fee off the top. No. It's not going to happen. And we're already seeing people fighting against it in the state legislatures. But the bottom line is leagues are still pushing for it. So it's up to guys like us to say, no, you can't have this. You don't deserve it. You haven't done anything for it. Shut the F up.
All right. Amen, brother. Up next, the NIT title game. A good one. Penn State against Utah. Then we'll get to OKC and the Spurs. And a good one tonight. Kluber against King Felix on SportsBit. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Hey, we're back. Pauly and Teddy. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Real SportsBet. He's at Teddy_covers. And follow SBR as well. Thanks to Intertop Sportsbook, 22 years online. Sign up, deposit, and win. Game number 1, NIT title game tonight, Utah and Penn State. Penn State's 4.5, 134.5 the total. Great story here with Penn State. They continue to win on the road. They blow out Mississippi State in the semifinal matchup, and both teams did it with defense actually on Tuesday. Penn State held Mississippi State to 60 points, and Utah held Western Kentucky to 64 points, and they were down big early in that game, Teddy.
Sure. I mean, the Utes holding them to 64 points on 23 of 66 shooting, just above 33% from the floor. Mississippi State, as you mentioned, 60 points, just 21 of 53 shooting. They're under 40% from the floor. So both teams are here tonight in large part because of the defense. Certainly we talk about the Penn State defense. They played great defense in the tournament without Mike Watkins. Why? Well, the 6'9 Frosh, John Harrar, look at the pic of him right there. He's got a chance to step up. He's not an offensive presence, only 2 points and 2 free throw attempts in the semifinals, but he's clogging up the middle. He's creating problems for opposing drivers, and he's rebounding extremely well. And of course, the guards have picked up the offense, without Watkins, Shep Garner, Tony Carr, 39 points against Mississippi State. The team, 18 assists, only 9 turnovers. I can understand why Penn State is the chalk here. And they also will enjoy a little bit of crowd support at Madison Square Garden. They'll have more fans than the Utes will.
And I like this guy. We talked about him Tuesday, Bibbins, the guard for Utah. He had 19 points and only 2 turnovers in the win against Western Kentucky. They closed it out with a 6-0 run. He made things happen. He's a playmaker, and he can also milk the clock, and you don't have to worry or panic with the shot clock winding down as well. 2 good coaches, though, too. 2 excellent coaching jobs here with Kristoviak and the job that Penn State's done with Chambers.
Sure, and there's some concerns for Penn State. Chambers has a great quote here, worried about what Justin Bibbins is capable of doing. Remember, we're talking about a guy who's like 5'8", $150. He can run circles around opposing teams when the opportunity presents itself. Chambers definitely worried about that matchup and worried about facing Kristoviak, who's got a pretty good track record. Quote, "I know Larry. I've watched his teams. Obviously, I'm up late at night, so I can throw them on. They're well coached. They are very skilled. They are very tough. They run a million sets. We're going to have our hands full." And I agree with that. Well, I said I understand that Penn State should be favored. Well, I'll just put it this way. We'll get back to this game when it comes back down to play of the day time.
All right, big one tonight in the association on TNT. OKC hits the road to take on the Spurs. OKC is 207.5 as we tape. Aldridge going to be a game-time decision. He left early in the loss at Washington. And as we told you about that run that they were on, that great homestand, they're still 22nd in offense in March. And here, let's throw that graphic up again, this run that they've had. Aldridge, 24, 25, 39, 33, 27, 45, and 34 points. But when he's not on the floor, it's a horror show. And Ginobili, we'll get to Ginobili's quote in a second here, but it's panic time in in San Antonio, if he misses an extended period of time or any games, because they're so important when you see the race here for the 6th, the 7th, the 8th seed in the West, because San Antonio has a tough schedule coming up, Teddy.
You wonder if the Spurs will be happy with the number 9 seed.
Yeah.
Meaning no playoff appearance, because this team is not poised to go, even a banged-up Warrior squad, even whatever you want to say about Houston. San Antonio is not primed to play well in the postseason right now. They haven't played well in the regular season. And, of course, the battle is so tight. The 2 teams right now separated by 1 game in the standings. But between the 3 seed in the West and the 9 seed, there's only 5 games separating from having home court advantage in the first round to being out of the playoffs entirely. This is a tight battle. And when you talk about Aldridge and his potential, I mean, the graphic showed it really clearly. The plus-minus for Aldridge every game. What happened on Tuesday? He had 13 points in 17 minutes. Then he hurt his left knee. San Antonio lost by 10 because all the other players had 12 points or less. Ginobili's quote is great. You referenced it. We're at a point, if LaMarcus gets a cough, a cold, we're in deep trouble. So hopefully it's just a 1/2 thing, because it's not. It's really going to get tough to score down the stretch. As you mentioned, the March offense, even with the Aldridge hot streak, 104.8 points per 100 possessions, only 22 out of 30 teams in the NBA. That's over 13 games. Spurs can't put the biscuit in the basket, and that's a problem. Of course, MRI on Aldridge was negative, but it does feel very much like a legitimate game-time decision. The early money has come on OKC. The markets don't think Aldridge is going to be able to suit up.
It's a great spot for the Thunder, too. This should be fresh, and as fresh as you can be for a game this late in the season. 3 full prep days, 4th game in 10 days, 7th game in 16 days, and first road game in 9 days. Come on. And they get Denver and New Orleans on deck as well. So they want to get that 4 seed. And it certainly helps with energy and helps Westbrook being fresh as well. Billy Donovan quote, there's not like there's this thing of, hey, we're going to San Antonio, then we got Denver, then we got New Orleans. And boy, we really got to be different than we've been. My point would be, well, what have we been doing then? They struggled initially defensively when Robertson got hurt, but they are one of 4 teams that are top 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency. A good one tonight on TNT, just like this one. Again, thanks to Intertop's over 4,000 daily wagers. Sign up, deposit, and win. Indians, Mariners, ESPN, the late game, early money for the over. Kluber against Hernandez. Kluber is 175 on the road, 7 the total. What a sick run this guy was on at the end of the year, Teddy. It seemed like every start, it was 8 innings and 1 run for Kluber with a ton of strikeouts.
Look at this price tag for opening day. We said last year, Cleveland's going to have to win 100 games to make a profit.
You did.
Because their starters are priced too high. And they went on that ridiculous run down the stretch and actually turned a little bit of profit. But I mean, when you see Kluber at minus 175 at Seattle against King Felix in the opener, I mean, it's going to be hard to make money with the Indians this year. It will. And you talk about Kluber and the monster season he had last year. What does he have? 4 straight seasons of 200-plus innings. We worry about that. But, boy, no issues last year with all those innings. 18-4, 2.25. Look at the graphics. Strikeouts, not just up last year. Way up last year. He's a pitcher, not a thrower. How'd he do it? Fewer fastballs, not more fastballs. Look at the advanced metric numbers. Fastball percentage, way down last year. Miles per hour on the average fastball, down last year. What's he doing? Well, here's the quote. I'm not sure it's as much me doing anything different as much as it is guys just don't care about striking out. I think it goes hand in hand. Guys a lot of times don't really make adjustments. They go up there swinging for the fences. More times than not, the breaking ball is the best pitch to take advantage of that. Kluber's certainly an elite hurler and a guy who I have no interest in stepping in front of very often. Certainly not on opening day against a strikeout-prone Mariners lineup.
And forget about King Felix. Can he at least be a prince? I mean, how about this graphic? These numbers will blow you away on Felix Hernandez. Fielding, independent pitching, and his fastball in miles per hour. 2014, he was throwing 93.6. Last year, he was throwing 91.2. And then you see the FIP, 2.56, 372, 463, and 5 last year. The shoulder injury's been a concern. Can he get back to 100%? GM Jerry DiPoto, quote, the issues that Felix has incurred, they're happening under his skin. It's not something you can work harder and make ligaments stronger. You can't lose weight and create more stability in an elbow joint. That's not realistic. Whether that be starting less frequently, monitoring pitch counts in a different way, whether it's part of his off-season training preparation and in-season routines, we'll do those things, whatever we have to do. That's an interesting quote there as well. Up next, we'll turn the shot clock on. Biggest overachiever in baseball this season. I'll give you 3, T. I'll give you 2. Teddy will give you 1. Coming up next in the play of the day on SportsBet 2.0. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Wrapping it up on SportsBet, Pauly and Teddy, betting insight today. Here we go. Time to turn the shot clock on. Biggest overachiever in Major League Baseball this season. I'm going to go with the Phillies and the Angels. Phillies win total 78.5. Other than the Nationals, who knows about the Mets? I don't think the Braves are going to be anything. The Marlins are going to lose 100 games. They signed Arrieta. They have a lot of young talent, guys that can hit. I think the Phillies can maybe be close to 500, make a wild card push. Let's not get carried away, but still I think they go over 78.5. And the Angels, 84. Trout missed 48 games last year. They still went 80-82 and were in the playoff race with a week left in the season. They bring in Kinsler. Who knows about Ohtani? Richard, see if he can stay healthy. If he's back, that's great work, and Socha did an excellent job. Those are my 2. Angels, 84 win total, and the Phillies.
I'm going to take a look for my biggest overachiever. Let's get that shot clock on. Ding, ding, ding. Brewers, the Milwaukee Brewers, they're lined at 84 wins. They're supposed to be slightly above 500. I think this team might be pretty darn good. And, of course, the markets are worried about starting pitching. They're going to focus, Jimmy Nelson's hurt. What's the back end of the rotation look like? No. This team can hit. Yelich, Kane, 2 huge additions to the front of that lineup. And then we like the bullpen, and Nebel, Hader, big additions for the Brewers. I think they're contenders. Milwaukee over 84.5. Yeah, this team's primed to be an overachiever.
All right, come on, let's clean it up. I know it's tough because we only can pick from usually 2 games, but let's go. Back on track. Money time, play of the day. Take it away, Teddy. Back to the NIT.
Sure. We talked about how I thought Penn State merited to be the favorite in this ball game. I don't think they deserve to be favored by 4.5. This game feels tight. I think Utah is going to be a tough matchup, and I think this game is likely to come down to the final possession or 2. Plus 4.5. I'm interested. Give me the Utah Utes. Game number 7-12. Utah plus 4.5. Look for Kristowiak and company to give the Utes the cover and maybe the straight up win.
All right, excellent, very good, fun show. Tomorrow, Final Four. Can the Ramblers do it again? And we'll recap opening day in Major League Baseball and a short NBA card, but a lot to go over as well. We'll close strong tomorrow. And thanks for watching. Tell your friends. SportsBit 2.0. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.